Now we are going to start your fourth unit. So in the last class we have maximum completed your unit 3. So in this fourth unit completely deals with electronic data interchange. So how we can interchange the data from one company to another company or one person to another person electronically. Okay. So for this we'll have a complete interface or complete application. So with the help of that application, we can transmit the data from one person to another person or one computer to another computer. So here it can be defined in different ways. So EDI, so in the short form we call it as EDI, electronic data interchange. The name itself describes. So we can interchange the data electronically, interchanging in the sense transmitting the data. Okay. So EDI is a technique which follows a standardized procedure for electronically transmitting various kinds of information, whatever it can be. It can be a text, or it can be a video file, or it can be an audio file, it can be any document, or whatever it might be. So for instance, commercial information or administrative information or whatever the information, if you want to transmit electronically, so that is considered as EDI. It can be defined as a process used by various trading partners for transmitting information among themselves without any interface. So without using of any other interfaces, we can transmit the data from one person to another person. We use EDI. And it also can be defined as a medium of passing business information in a standardized format. So for all these EDIs will have a specific format to transmit the data from one place to another place or one computer to another computer. So in this architecture, EDI architecture, we have 4 layers. First we have is application level layer. Second is the standard layer, third one is transport layer, and the fourth one is network layer. The names itself, it describes what are the things they can do. So in this application layer here, first of all we have to decide which kind of applications or which kind of data we are going to send, and which kind of languages which we are using to transmit the data from one place to another place. So here we have some standard formats, so where ANSI format and some other formats. So which format you will use, that is going to be decided by the application layer. See here. So this is the first layer of EDI architecture. Its semantic layer tells which business application plays an important role in development of EDI. So the type of company that operates on this layer, the kind of services or the kind of softwares used by the company. So here the type of company which is going to operate this EDI, and the second point, the kind of software which that company is using. These two things can be defined under this application layer. So the data is available on this layer will be company's specified format. So every company will have their own formats. So the data will be there in that specific format. Hence, a company must convert the data into universally accepted format before transmitting the data into their partners. So we have two standardized formats, either one is ANSI format or electronic data interchange format, or it is fact format. So a particular EDI form, and it is ANSI format. So these are the two different formats for every company will use to transmit the data in that format only. So consider two trading partners who want to transmit a file between them. A special type of software is used by trading partners for file organization, for file transmission. This type of software is called EDI. This software converts the file sent by the trading partner at the sender side into format that is easily understood by the trading partner at the receiver side. So if you want to send one file from one person to another person, they use a specific software. That specific software is considered as a EDI. So in the application layer, they have to decide in which format they want to send and which software they want to use. So that is layer number 1. Next, in the second layer, it describes the structure of EDI form that was available on the EDI application layer and the appearance of EDI form. So what it will tell you is, in this second layer, basically it will tell you the structure of the form which you want to send from one person to another person, and it also describes the appearance, how it will look, EDI application layer and the appearance of EDI form on the higher layer. So అది మనకి పైన హయ్యర్ లెవెల్స్లో ఎలా కనిపించాలి, ద కంప్లీట్ ఫార్మాట్ ఏంటి, ద కంప్లీట్ స్టాండర్డ్స్ ఏంటి అనేది ఈ ఈడిఐ స్టాండర్డ్ ట్రాన్సిషన్ లేయర్ విల్ డిసైడ్. థర్డ్ వన్, ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్. ద డ్యూటీ ఆఫ్ దిస్ లేయర్ ఈస్ టు ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ దట్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఫ్రమ్ source to destination. Okay, in this layer the business form is sent from one company to another. Various companies don't use any electronic medium to transmit the business applications or business information. They transmit the information either by using postal system or they'll send as a carrier service called United Parcel Services. Often the information is exchanged via emails. So maximum they'll communicate through emails, or else they'll communicate through postal system, or they'll appropriate a parcel service to transmit the data from one place to another place or one person to another person. Hello. Next one, physical network infrastructure. So this is the fourth layer of the EDI architecture. In this, the transmitting business document is more complex when compared with the transmission of email information. So in general we can send an email, so that is not a big task, but transmitting the data in this EDI architecture, so all the business documents formats will be more structured than the email content. So transmitting of email information, all file sharing through modem or some other electronic devices. The reason behind is that the business document information is far more organized than the email information. So this is the reason maximum of the things will go with EDI architecture. Okay, so these are the four different layers what we have in this EDI architecture. First one is application layer, standard layer, transportation layer and physical layer. They are the four layers of EDI architecture. Next we'll see these advantages and disadvantages. You just go through with this. Okay, now we'll see the basic advantages of EDI. So EDI offers numerous advantages as given below. It reduces the paperwork because we'll transmit the data through some emails or some other stuff. So here we have no need to use any paper. It reduces the time consumed by order, invoice, payment cycle. So if you require any information, or if you want to send any orders, if you send it through postal devices or if you send it through invoices or courier services, it will take time. So instead of that, if I use this EDI architecture, immediately whatever the things we require, immediately we can order through online. It increases the customer base for an organization significantly. It offers high transmission accuracy. It enhances the communication, thereby improving the customer service. We will do all these things, and it reduces the number of data entry errors, human intervention, processing delays, etc. So we can eliminate data entry errors, human intervention and processing delays. So all these things can be eliminated or reduced by this EDI. So the quality of the outcome will be good. It enhances the transmission rate and transmission processing speed. So it will increase the transmission rate and the transmission speed. It reduces the need for having large inventory. So we don't require that huge inventory to transmit the data from one place to another place. So we can send all the things through electronically. So we don't require much paper and all the things. So we can reduce the complete inventory. It reduces the number of personals required. For example, I have 10 branches. If I want to send the information to these 10 branches, I require 10 people to send that information to 10 branches. So if I use this EDI, simply I can eliminate these 10 people and I can send that email to all the 10 people, so that the data will be transmitted automatically a bit fast. It simplifies order entry and processing. So entering the data or processing the data or processing the entries will be very easy and very simplified with the help of this EDI. Even though we have a number of advantages, it is also having some disadvantages. So what are the disadvantages? In the sense, it forces the management to heavily rely on computer systems because it reduces the number of personals involved. So maximum ikkada manaki we don't have people to work, we'll have systems to work, so we have to depend on the systems more than the people. Fewer individuals are responsible for handling more tasks via computer system, so there is a possibility of having a greater impact in case any of the system fails. So for example, if any system has failed, so we can't do any other operations, so we have to wait until the system or that error has been rectified. So that is one point. If error occurred during the data processing and transmission, the information sent to the trading partners will be inaccurate. While transmitting the data from one person to another person, if anything has happened in the middle, then the complete data won't be reached to that person. So in this we have inconsistency issues will be raised. The third point will be EDI transaction data must always be maintained and secured for a long period of time because it is the only evidence of transmission between the trading partners. So in case of any dispute between the trading partners, EDI transaction data serves as a substantial evidence. Okay, so this
స్లోగా చెప్పారా?
okay. In this we'll see. First point is EDI forces management to heavily rely on computers. First point okay na? First point అర్థమైందా? Maximum computers we have to depend on the computers rather than the people. If one computer fails, then we have to wait until the error has been rectified. So that is one disadvantage. Second one is here, while transmitting the data from one person to another person, if anything happens in the middle of the transition, then the complete data it won't reaches to the sender. So by that what we will have is we will have inconsistent issues will be raised. So data is not at all perfect. The data whatever you want to send, it isn't sent properly to the person. So some data will be missing in the transmission. So these are the problems may be raised. That is the second issue. Third issue what he has decided here is the data must be always be maintained and secured for longer period of time. So you have to maintain the complete information. Here this is the only evidence about the transaction which has made in between these two parties. So if the data has been lost, then we can't do anything. So you have to maintain huge amount of data backup for these EDI transactions. So a backup copy of all the EDI transactions must be maintained, which in turn involves additional overheads. So we require some extra space to store all these extra information, all the transactions which we have transmitted from one person to another person. That is another disadvantage what we have. Next one, it also requires an organization to hire several third party softwares and applications to provide transaction security. So here if you want to provide any security to the data which we are sending from one location to another location or one person to another location, to provide the security to these things, we have to install some third party softwares or we need to approach some third persons to protect your information. So that is another disadvantage what we have. For serving business operations of the client, the organization simply rely on the computer systems of the trading partners. As a result, any errors, viruses on those systems will certainly have an impact on the business operations. That's what we have discussed in unit point 1, the same thing. So maximum we have to rely on the computers. So whatever anything which is happened with the computer, then the complete data will be lost. So we'll have major problems we have to face if any system has damaged. Why? Because we are more relying on the computers rather than the men, rather than the personal contacts. If the application serving EDI is corrupted, then we have to lose the complete transmission, lose the data. Inappropriate operating decisions will be resultant if errors remain undetected. For example, in the transmission there are some problems. If those problems are not rectified, if they are not detected, irrelevant information will be reached to the destination. Okay, so whatever the format we thought, it won't go to the destination in the same format because of some errors which are happened in between the transmission. Next, inappropriate operation, it already done. EDI involves heavy utilization of computer and communication systems. The possibility of intruders and hackers will be more. The same thing, whenever we have a technology, obviously there will have a problem with intruders or the hackers. There is no guarantee for the consistency of information exchanged. Apart from this, privacy may not be completely preserved. So these are the 8 disadvantages what we have. So mainly what he want to tell is, here in this service we are majorly rely on computers. So if something happened to the computer, the final result will be loss of information and the loss of data, and we can't provide that much security to the data whatever we have. So privacy issues will be raised. Why? Because we have to rely more on the electronic devices, electronic communication. So whenever this term electronic information or electronic transmission comes into the picture, obviously we'll have a chance of hackers and intruders who can theft the data from in between the transmission. So there are the possibilities whatever we have whenever we are using any electronic devices. So it is very important to provide a proper security mechanisms and to install a proper firewalls whenever we are using this electronic communication, whenever we are having this electronic communication. So this is another disadvantages. So the list of disadvantages what we have with EDI, electronic data interchange. Now we have benefits of EDI. Already we discussed about benefits of EDI. Now we will see what will happen if non-EDI system is there, if we are not using any EDI, how the things will go on with non-EDI system. So the working of non-EDI system can be illustrated with the help of the following example. Consider an example wherein customer and vendor communicate regarding purchasing application. The interaction takes place between the customer and vendor by using mail rooms called paper-based mail rooms. These mail rooms are available on both customer side as well as the vendor side. Suppose a customer wants to pass a purchase order request to vendor, then the following steps to be involved. Customer must first take out a receipt of purchase order information from her mail room or in his mail room. Customer must then transmit this receipt to the vendor. So he first of all he has to write the complete order and he has to send that order to the vendor. Vendor gets the receipt of purchase order in letter or fax format, any one. Finally, this receipt of purchase order is stored in vendor's mail room. So here he is the vendor and here we have the customer. First of all, what he will do, purchase request, it will go to the purchase department. From there it will go to the finance department and finally it will go to the payment. So where we have first of all we have to purchase request, request has to be received. Customer must first take out a receipt of purchase order information from her mail room. So here now from his paper based mail room the request will be sent to this paper based mail. So once the order has been confirmed with the sales department and it will interact, here see this diagram once. At customer side, first of all he will raise a request, it will go to the purchase department and from the purchase department it will go to the finance department about regarding that cash particulars, and that amount will be go to this paper based mailroom, and it is vendor's paper based mailroom. Once he receive that order, once the order has been confirmed, that order details will be sent to this manufacturing department. Once the contents have been manufactured, everything is ready, then again they will intimate to this sales department, and the sales department and the finance department will interact, and this finance department will raise a bill to this mail. Along with this, here the shipping department will deliver the data. Once the customer receive that content, it will go to that inventory and warehouse, and they will intimate to the purchase department, and we have received, order has been delivered. So this information, the complete payment process will be done from the finance department. Once they receive the items, the payment department will pay that amount, and it will go to that vendors area. So this is a complete picture how this non-EDI system will work. Okay. So in the next class, we will discuss about the prerequisites of EDI, what we require if you want to implement this EDI, and we will see some other topics which are related to this EDI topics.